Hey, I'm here with Jeremiah Wagner. Jeremiah and I've known one another for about 5 years, and I have done I've always kind of mocked people who are like, I'm going to start a podcast. And yet my wife has been telling me for a couple of years, she's like, you suck as a writer. I mean, it's true.
Ouch.
Like literally, she's right. She's like, you don't express yourself well in written things. And part of what I have really been fascinated by, as part of my own story, is that I find out that almost everyone takes an unusual path to their leadership role. And so like no one I talk to, it's like, oh yeah, from the very beginning it was clear you were headed here. So I kind of got this idea a few months ago to like sit down with people who are doing interesting things in ministry and in life and in business even, and say, okay, what was your path? How did you get there? And what are you doing? So I had this idea and I was telling my wife, and then within a couple weeks, Tom Moore, who's the executive director at Crestfield, your boss, emailed me and was like, hey, you need to talk to Jeremiah. And I was like, okay. And then Jeremiah sent me some stuff about an interesting way that he is using YouTube. And I thought this was the perfect occasion to sit down and to have a conversation and to record it so that you could hear a little bit of what Jeremiah is doing. Because as I listened to it as a parent of an 11-year-old boy, soon to be 12, who watches as many hours of YouTube as we will permit him, I immediately resonated with kind of what you were talking about.
Yeah.
So, but what I first want to hear is tell us a little bit about your story, how you ended up in ministry, doing ministry stuff, and go from there.
So both my parents, Christians, of course, and I would go through the motions. You follow them to church, you sit in, like I was the kid, I hated Sunday school so much. I'd be the one who'd cry the entire time. They'd come get my parents and pull me out so I could be at the church service. I hated church. Completely couldn't take it. But I remember, I think 8th grade, 9th grade, around that time, they're like, Jeremiah, you don't have to go to church anymore, but at least got to go to youth group. So I was like, all right, I'll go do that. And then after a long time of youth group, they're like, you got to go on this mission trip to Philadelphia. You better come. I was like, whatever. Like, I can't do any of this stuff. I'm that shy, awkward kid. I just want to be an introvert. I want my personal bubble as big as I can. Just leave me alone. That's all I want.
Yep.
And I get on the mission trip. I'm in Philadelphia. They send me to my service project. And it's, of course, the Salvation Army. I'm working with kids. And not only are they just regular old kids, it's the Spanish-speaking Salvation Army. And I was like, oh boy, this should be fun, right?
And how much Spanish did you speak?
None. Zero.
None
I don't know Spanish, right? And I had no idea what I'm doing. Well, I get there. They're Spanish-speaking, but they also know English. So I was like, okay, they know that.
Right.
But here I am, first day. I don't speak. I don't talk. I'm a mute. And they're constantly fighting. I'm breaking up fights. I'm like, whatever. Like, just get me to Friday. I just want to get the heck out of here. Just get me out of here.
I'm done.
Well, Tuesday, start opening up. Wednesday, Thursday. By the time Friday gets around, I've gotten to know these kids so well, and I've built these relationships with them, that they're literally hugging my legs, hugging me. They're like, you can't leave. We love you so much, Jeremiah. Like, you don't understand this. You're so amazing. Thank you. And for me, that I recognize two things. One, it was one of the first times I recognized how much God loved me through those kids. So I saw God's love in these kids' eyes. And second is, I can actually relate to other people, especially young kids. And for me, it was this eye-opener. So after I went through mission trip on Philadelphia, I kept going to mission trips. In college, I was part of the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. I went on a mission trip to South Africa at an orphanage. And I started working at Crestfield, which is a camping conference center in Slippery Rock. And every summer I work with middle schoolers, high schoolers, elementary kids, and I've just really fallen in love with youth ministry. Like, I just love it.
In addition to Crestfield, you help out at Bower Hill.
Yes.
Church as well. So tell us a little bit about the whole YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Fortnite, all that stuff.
Yes. So I grew up playing video games and I loved it.
And what was your first system?
My first system was a Nintendo 64.
Okay.
So my parents were anti-video game, but my aunt and my grandma bought me a Nintendo 64 and I got to play Mario Kart, Super Smash, all that stuff. Well, fast forward to college, I kind of stopped playing video games because, like, I'm busy with stuff. I don't have time to do
grades
video
matter,
games.
right?
Yeah,
like
grades matter.
Like, as fun as video games are, grades really do matter.
Yeah, like, I'm spending so much time studying, I don't have time for video games, whatever.
And you studied accounting.
Yes, I was
Okay,
accounting.
yeah.
So I have a bachelor's and my master's in accounting.
Okay.
But I remember coming home one day and I was watching YouTube like everyone else does, and I was watching one of the old YouTubers I liked with video games, and he was talking about the new Call of Duty. Like, oh my gosh, this new Call of Duty is gonna be so good. And I was like, well, I remember playing this game for hours upon hours every day. This kind of looks interesting. Let me show it to my brother. Well, little do I know, I showed it to my brother, who stopped playing video games a long time as well. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go buy a PS4 today. So he goes buys a Call of Duty World War II PS4, and whenever I'd come home from Crestfield on the weekends at home, I'd play the video game with him. And I was like, this is kind of fun, whatever. But I got a little bored of this game, but there's this new game called Fortnite, and it was free. And I was like, let me try this game, see if I like it.
And Fortnite got big when? Like,
I'd say January, February of 2018.
yeah, like we're not
that
talking a
was,
long
like,
time
peak.
ago.
Yeah.
Like I remember hearing about the kids at youth group talking about Fortnite about that same time.
Yeah.
And I think my son picked up on it like last spring. So like a little more than a year ago. So
Yeah.
okay.
So I'd go home, I'd play it on the weekends, and I got so addicted. I was like, I wonder if I could buy the system just so I can play it when I'm at work. Because when I go home on the weekends, I only have a couple days to play Fortnite, but I want to play this more. But for me,
You and everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, whenever I purchase things with my money, I'm like, how does this glorify God? And for me, I could not figure out in the life of me why I should spend $300 to do something for my own pleasure during the week. Like, I couldn't figure out how this would glorify God. And I remember going home one day, and there's another game I really liked playing was Overwatch. It was another game just kind of like Fortnite.
That's
but
actually my
different.
son's favorite.
Oh, really?
It's Overwatch, yeah.
It's my
Yes.
favorite game too,
Yes,
believe
he
it or
plays.
not.
Yep.
So I get home one day, and my cousin's there, and he's playing on my Overwatch account. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I have this really good competitive score. He's gonna blow it.
Yeah, he's
like,
gonna ruin it for you.
He's gonna ruin my score. And he's like, just trust me, watch your cousin. He's really good. And I'm watching him. He's destroying everyone. Like, there's a ranking system in Overwatch: bronze, silver, gold.
Yeah.
I'm in silver. I'm like the second bottom tier. My cousin, this young dude, way younger than me, master. He's just destroying everyone. I'm like, keep playing. Finish my score up.
Keep driving my score up. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the first time, like, I never really made connections with my cousin, and he had a PS4. And I'm like, okay, if I get a PS4,
Yeah.
I can play with my cousin at work. I can play with my brother at work. These are two people in my life.
Build family connections.
Yeah, I don't really build those family connections at home because, like, my brother's dealing with issues in his own life. My cousin lives in Canada, so it was like one of those things he's only here once in a while. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to take the plunge. I'm going to buy a PS4 so I can play Fortnite and Overwatch with my cousin and brother. And
just one point to explain real quick,
Yeah.
because so like I grew up on the original NES,
Yeah.
and the Sega, and then at that point in time, playing video games you either played alone,
Yes.
or you played with the people you were sitting in the room with. What's fundamentally changed,
Yes.
is that now you can play, interact, and talk with people anywhere in the world,
Yes.
as if they were sitting. Like, so my son sits downstairs in the office,
Yeah.
his headset on, plugged into his controller, talking to his friends who live in the school district. Like, he and 7 of his friends, like, get on, and it's like they're carrying a conversation all in the same room. So video games have gone from kind of something you either did alone or with somebody to literally a social platform through technology that people can connect on and talk through.
Exactly.
So it's not quite what it was for those of us who grew up in the 80s and 90s. There's a big shift.
Yeah, because I grew up the same way. I play Mario Kart and all that, but now it's more of the social interaction.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the game. I don't play single-player games anymore because I love the social interactions. Yep.
So what got you to start live streaming?
So, as I said earlier, I worked at Crestfield Camp and Conference Center, and the kids would always ask me, "Yo, Jeremiah, you're so cool. Like, do you have a YouTube channel? Like, oh my gosh." And I would always talk about Fortnite with them. And they're like, "Do you stream?" Because everyone, if you're a kid, you're watching Twitch, you're watching YouTube, you're watching your favorite people playing video games. So I was like, No, I don't stream, but if you guys really, really want me to, like, maybe I'll go do it, because they only see me during the summer.
Right.
Why not just try it out and see maybe if the kids will watch me outside of Crestfield playing a video game? So I just started trying it out, and it kind of blew up.
Okay, so it kind of blows up,
Yeah.
which means what?
So I start out, I'd say end of July, early August, I start streaming Fortnite.
So less than a year.
Again. Yeah, less than a year. And I guess that would have been 2018. Yeah. I stream Fortnite. Couple people come in, watch me. It's like the kids from camp, like, oh, it's Jacob. What's up, buddy? How are you doing? And then randomly, a bunch of random kids I've never met in my entire life started watching me. So my viewership went from maybe 5-10 people watching me an entire night to, oh my gosh, there are hundreds of people watching me now tonight. What is going on? Like, watching me? I'm not even good at the game. What's happening?
So why? I mean, so minus the fact that is the genius of YouTube algorithms, which is to connect kids to new content that they don't already know about. When did it shift from, hey, I'm playing a video game, to building some personal interactions and engaging in some conversations that went way beyond Fortnite?
Yeah. So I guess what's interesting is when you're playing the video game in front of a live stream, they see the person in front of them and they almost build like a personal connection with you. So whenever someone says hi, so I remember I got a message one day and it was from a kid. He lives in Alaska, middle schooler. And he messages me on Snapchat and he's like, you don't understand how much you've impacted my life. Like, you've been so positive and I don't even know if I'd be here today if it wasn't for you. And I was like, what? What was the thing? What was the spark?
Yeah.
Like, why did you stick here and watch my channel? Right. And he's like, you recognize me and you acknowledge my name. And I was like, wow. Just by me saying, hey, Gavin, what's up? He doesn't get that attention at home.
And to be clear, you did not know this kid through Crestfield. I mean, he's from Alaska. You've never met him.
No, never.
Yeah, right.
And just because I played Fortnite, he just through YouTube.
Tuned in?
And that's just not one example. Hundreds of kids just like that come into my channel. They see, like, a lot of times people will either troll or they'll be serious and be like, I'm really dealing with suicidal thoughts right now. Sometimes they're joking, sometimes they're serious. But the way I react, it says, okay, this person on the other side of the screen on YouTube playing Fortnite, this guy cares about that person. I wonder if he'll care about me too when I go message him. So I get lots of messages from kids who are either dealing with bullying, suicide, parents who are divorced, brothers and sisters who are doing drugs. There's a long list of issues that kids are dealing with, and they feel very safe and open to telling me about their issues and their struggles. And it's very humbling. It's very scary because I don't really know how to handle a lot of
these are
things.
Not light topics, right? Like, they're not saying, hey, I got a C on my spelling test. Like,
exactly.
Like, it's not... I mean, these are heavy, heavy points of conversation that they're bringing up. So one of the things that you mentioned, but I thought was interesting, is that what you seem to think got this whole thing started was that kids who were tuning in saw you recognize by name other kids who were joining into the stream. So they would hear you recognize somebody, and then when they would join, you'd recognize them. So in many ways, this was as simple as recognizing kids by name.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
So, right. So on the one hand, that is like a duh thing, right? But one of the things that we so often drive home with churches is like you kids need to know you know their name, and if you don't know 5 kids by name, and if you're not greeting 5 kids by name every time you're together, you're missing the point. Because there really is power in naming someone, especially in front of others, right? Because kids immediately hop on. So I tuned into one of your streams, which is really funny because I do not play Fortnite. Like, I've never played Fortnite. My video game career started with NHL 2001 on the PC.
Oh yeah.
And then I moved on to NHL 2007 on the PS3.
Okay.
You're gonna notice a trend here, and then got NHL Legacy Edition for the PS3.
Okay.
And then jumped over and gotten NHL 17, 18, and 19 for our Xbox.
Nice.
So that,
nice.
but that's my career, right?
Yeah.
Like, my career is very limited and isolated. Yeah. It's only EA
NHL.
Sports and adult games. That's it,
That's
right?
awesome.
But my son, like, he got hooked on Minecraft very early, very young.
That's
Pocket Edition on the PlayStation 3, on the Xbox. Like he's played that. Overwatch, Fortnite, like all these games. So this has become much more familiar vocabulary for me, to say the least. One of the things, though, that I think a lot of parents in particular get concerned about is, like, are video games rotting our kids' brains? And you have some thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I think a lot of fears in parents is the violence.
Yeah.
And for me, I think that is a concern. I don't think that's the biggest concern right now. I think it's twofold. One is when you're wearing a headset, you're talking with strangers. And of course, you could meet someone like me who has good intentions, but most people you meet on an online video game do not have good intentions.
Right. And if we're honest, the video game clientele can be a little rough, particularly in the area of language.
Yes. So there's a term in the video game culture that we like to call toxic. So when you're playing a video game, it's very hyper competitive, and there's a sense of anonymity, so you don't know the other person,
right,
and you don't know how your words are affecting them. So I remember an example, two of my fans, quote unquote, were 1v1ing in Fortnite, and they're like, "You effing suck, you're a piece of trash, blah, blah, blah." And then they're crying to, both of me are crying to me about it, like...
About how mean they were.
Yeah, about, like, can you believe how mean this guy is? Like, he's, like, posting on social media about how much of a jerk I am, like, tell him to stop, this and that. But the reason they were both jerks to one another is both were actually kids who had really bad home lives. Yeah. One was suicidal, the other just lost his grandpa. And I was telling the one kid, I shouldn't have told him this. I was like, you know that guy you said all these mean words to him? He was dealing with something really tragic in his life, and what you did made it worse for him. And he started crying, and that minutes later, he messaged on Instagram. He's like, "I'm really sorry. I can't believe what I just did." So a lot of times, because you're on a video game, there's that sense of, I don't know the other person.
And the anonymity and...
Yeah.
And I think what you say, though, is important. Like I have watched best friends in real life in a dodgeball game completely lose their mind with one another.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, completely. And, like, they are best friends. They are in person. They know one another. And it's, like, quick. It's like a 5-minute dodgeball game, and, like, somebody hits somebody else in the head.
Yeah, yeah.
The difference online is that you can go for a long time. You're much more separated by geography.
Exactly.
And there's no way to, like, immediately reconcile. Like two guys, like, get pissed at one another over a foul call in basketball.
Yeah.
3 minutes later, they're fine.
Because that's how boys are.
Right, because that's just what they do.
Yeah.
Like, but the difference with video games is that you can get mad, sign off, and leave mad. And there's no chance for kind of that reconciliation.
Yeah.
So let me say this. This is what I actually still don't totally grasp.
Yeah.
Why do kids enjoy watching others play video games so much?
That's a great question.
Because I think it's boring. like I have watched, like, some of these YouTubers that my son watches, and like I find them to be obnoxious.
Yeah.
But that's showing my age, right? Like, so the whole YouTube voice, as I refer to it, which is, like, slightly elevated in pitch and very intense and kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like I have simply accepted the fact that is a function of my age. Like, I always find that a little annoying.
Yeah.
But that is normal across the board. But even at that, like, even watching your stream, who I knew, I was like...
This is obnoxious.
No, it wasn't. It was just like, great, 5 minutes. Okay, I watched 5 minutes, right? Because it just didn't grab me. But yet it grabs my son and it grabs my daughter. So I'm not discounting it as dumb. But why does it grab certain kids so much?
Did you play hockey?
No, I didn't skate.
Okay, never mind.
But
I think for the same reason I watch sports.
I'm a huge hockey fan.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I love watching the Sabres. I will sit downstairs in front of my TV and scream at it irrationally.
Yeah.
If that helps make your point. Yes, like, I've watched them, die hard.
Yeah, I think it's the same reason for watching sports. So I love I played hockey. I love watching hockey. I love cheering on the Pens. It's the same reason I'd watch a video game player. So if I play Fortnite and I'm really into it, I'm gonna watch the video game player to see what can I do to bring that into my game. So one is I want to get better at the game. I'm going to watch people who are better than me.
Right.
Two, it's the personalities. So kids, when you're watching YouTube, you tune in for that personality, whether that be the vlogger who like goes around the world doing stupid, silly stuff, or maybe just sitting down watching someone playing a video game live on stream. But I think the biggest thing is their interaction, especially in my channel, is people aren't watching me play the video game because I'm good at the game. The reason they come in to watch the stream is because they feel like they've made a friend and that personal interaction. So whenever I'm streaming, they can talk to me in the live chat and be like, yo, Pinoy, what's up? They can also play with me. So it's like, hey guys, use my custom code right now. Right. You guys can all join in our game and play. And a lot of it has to do with personalities and just the relationships you build with each other. Sometimes you'll have these really big YouTubers like Ninja, Nick830, like that even I like to watch play sometimes.
Just to be clear, millions of subscribers.
Oh, millions. People who pay them like $5-10 a month just to watch them.
Yes, and people who are literally making a living.
Oh yeah.
Like $1 million plus in income.
A month.
like big, like YouTube is big business in the entertainment world. And we hear a lot about Netflix, but really where a lot of we're seeing entertainment move is toward YouTube.
Exactly. And that's where the kids are. They're not watching live TV.
No.
They're watching
absolutely not.
Twitch and YouTube.
No, like the most valuable app I have installed on my TV is YouTube.
Yeah.
Right? Because I can get my kid to stop being hunched over like this and actually sit up and like watch. But yeah, absolutely. And truthfully, even myself, like I'm not watching video gamers, but like I will I have 30 or 40 people who I'm subscribed to on YouTube who is exactly what you said, like the same content. I'm really interested in like who's presenting it.
Yeah.
Like Linus Tech Tips is one of my favorites. Okay. Linus Tech Tips is obnoxious. I find Linus to be incredibly annoying. But that's why I like watching him. I'm like, oh man, he's so annoying. But you know, so just a couple things that I've noticed, right? You've mentioned 3 things. You've mentioned a community, a place to gather, and a personal connection to someone who is quote unquote the leader.
Yes.
So when we talk about pretty much any kind of community, any kind of church, any social organization, etc., we basically talk about the 3 ingredients: who's going to come, where you're going to meet, and who's going to lead it.
Yeah.
So I think what's interesting is that on the one hand, what you've done here is innovative and new, but it's really the same model.
Exactly. I think so.
It's the same exact thing. In that, and what we oftentimes tell people who are going into ministry is vulnerability seeds vulnerability. Right? Like, if you want kids to be open and honest with you, you have to be open and honest with them.
Yes.
And I always add the caveat, inappropriate detail. Right? Like, I will tell people, telling about your crazy college years, not necessarily the best idea. Saying you made some poor decisions in college, that covers a multitude of sins. Right? So, as you have kind of gotten this started, just to be clear, how many subscribers do you have now?
A little over 3,000.
Okay, a little over 3,000, which sounds like a lot. In the YouTube world, it's still small potatoes.
Yeah, pretty small in YouTube world,
But, and when you live stream, how many people are tuning in?
So concurrently, on average, I say about 40 to 50 at the same time. In a given night, I'd say about a total of about 1,000.
About 1,000?
Yeah, that have tuned in.
Which, on the one hand, that has to be mind-blowing.
Yeah, because it was...
Like, this is less than a year ago.
Yeah, literally less than a year ago. When I had 1 or 2 people tuning in. Now I have like 1,000 every time I...
So give people a couple examples of interactions, of stories, of things that have happened because of this.
Yeah. So a lot of my fans get inspired and they want to go do what I do. So I know there's this, I think 5th grader, 6th grader in Texas. Okay, 5th grader, 6th grader in Texas. And he's live streaming and he's like messaging me on Instagram. He's like, Pinoy, I need you right now. And I was like, what's going on, man? He's like, there is a person in my chat who is really struggling with suicidal thoughts. I don't know what to do right now. Please come with me.
Because he's in 5th grade.
Yeah.
To be clear, right?
He's a 5th grader. And I'm like, okay, I'm here. So, like, he's watched my streams before and seen me, how I interact. He's like, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to go. So, like, he was smart. He gave him the phone number.
Yep.
But a lot of times when you give someone a hotline, they don't want to call the hotline. There's no trust there. It's like, I'm going to go to the crazy hospital if I call this. I'm not talking with them. Please, please, please. Yeah. So I go into his chat, and I'm like, please talk with me. Like, I'm a good person. Like, I'm an adult. I love, like, here's my YouTube
I'm not a creep,
channel.
I promise.
Yeah. And the kid left. And we're, like, talking, like, me, him, and his friends. And I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. This guy might have just been a troll trying to get attention, because a lot of times kids just want attention. And I remember as we're in the middle of talking, the kid who was complaining about suicidal thoughts comes back. He's like, I'm back. Like, I want to kill myself again. And I was like, all right, my dude, I'm right here for you. I'm literally talking on the stream as I'm playing with this dude. He's like, I'd love to talk with you right now. Please let me know. We can talk in Fortnite, Discord, Instagram. Here are all the places you can contact me. What ended up happening was I had a phone call with the dude on Discord.
Explain what Discord is.
So Discord is a video game app where a bunch of video gamers communicate. It's essentially like a giant video game group text. That's essentially what it is, and you can talk on the phone as well. I call him up, and it wasn't a troll. I thought it was a troll. There's different signs that I thought he was a troll. It wasn't. It was a young kid, and his best friend had just gotten a really bad car accident, and that was his only friend he had. He was getting bullied in school, and he thought about ending it that night. And we talked, and now I'm still to this day, I'm really good friends with this kid. And it's all because one of my viewers was inspired, started streaming, came to me, talked to me, and now I'm friends with this dude somewhere, I have no idea, he's never told me where he lived, somewhere around the country. And whenever he's struggling with things, he always comes to me, and he wants to talk about them with me. And I didn't know if he was a Christian or not, but when you're having those conversations, your faith pops up, and I'm like, yo, like, do you believe in God? Yeah, like, what does God say? And I'll, like, pull up a Bible scripture, I'll pull up a Bible verse. I've prayed with him. He's like, does God truly love me? And then that opens up, like, Christian questions. So it's been really cool. So that's just one example of many where... that's just one example.
And as you said, when you're dealing with these topics, it's not like you don't have to force faith-based conversations in these situations. Like,
I never intended.
So kids who are hurting and like struggling, they're not like, oh, you want to talk about things of ultimate significance, and not talk about God. Like that doesn't happen. Like even kids who have no church background at all still know how to ask questions of ultimate significance. Like, what's the meaning of life? Like, what does death mean? What are some of the biggest challenges, though, for you? Like, this is not easy stuff.
Oh, yeah. I think there's a few big challenges. One is, I have a full-time job, I have a part-time job, I'm doing this, and I'm like, I have no time. Like, literally no time on my hands. So the big thing is time. Two is, I get asked so many questions, a lot of times I don't know how to answer them. And I try my best, and the thing is, they don't care about how I answer those questions. They just care about that there's someone out there that cares for them. But when you hear so many stories of kids who are struggling, and like, just a couple quick examples. There's a kid who messaged me. He's in middle school. His big brother and his big sister, he found them in the room one day. They're both doing meth. So he plays Fortnite so he can be away from that stuff. And that's his way of escaping the world. And when you're meeting kids like that, it's like, I want to do everything in my power to fix you, to make you better. But I'm just here to support you. And when you're dealing with a lot of things and a lot of people coming to you, sometimes you just feel a little overwhelmed, and there's some days I feel overwhelmed.
And I think one of the things that you just said is really important for so many of these kids. Video games are their escape, are their safe place, are the place where, like, so especially kids who are growing up in homes that are by nature unstable. One of the things that they're looking for is a place where they can control their environment.
Yes.
Where they have autonomy, where they don't feel forced. And that's one of the things the video game does, is it gives you a great sense of autonomy. You can opt in, you can opt out, you can play a game, you can not play a game, you can play with others, you can not play with others, and it's a like-minded community of people who like get you and care about the things that you care about.
Just like church.
Just like church, right? So like so in some ways you've like built a youth group instead of meeting in a building, meets and connects over something completely different through a virtual platform.
Yeah.
And yet, I think what's super important is that you have mentioned that a lot of all the examples that you've given so far as you can tell, are guys.
Yes, there have been examples with girls too. Very few though.
Very few.
I have a few girls here and there, but vast majority of boys.
And to be clear, part of it is that, in my experience, girls are like, if I had a new student in my youth group and they were and they were a girl, the easiest thing to do was to sit down and talk with them face to face about their feelings. Right? Tell me about yourself, what's going on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. With boys, it was always better to do something.
Interesting.
It was always better. So people say that girls relate face to face, guys relate side to side. So, and you see this in men, right? What do older men do for social outings? They golf, right? Why do they golf? Because it's something that you can do together. I used to have the best conversations with boys in my youth group playing knockout. Right? Because we were doing basketball, right? Like we were doing something, and even helping out with like 4th and 5th graders now. Like we have some of our best interactions and conversations playing Foursquare. So I think it's critically important that people understand that, and this is not entirely true of either gender, but in my experience, boys are much more likely to open up and interact with somebody who has a shared interest, who they're doing something with, than just being like, if you sat down with someone who's like, "Hey, tell me about your feelings," you'd be like,
no way.
Right? Like it's just not going to work because that for so many, particularly early adolescence, so 4th, 5th grade into middle school boys, they don't know what their feelings are. Like that's what I find fascinating about working with that age group is like they can't narrate how they're feeling. They can only tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
And like getting them to talk is like pulling things out of quicksand so many times, unless you get that kind of platform, that thing that you can connect over. So like I've joked with people, like my youth group when I was at Hampton was full of theater freaks, band geeks, and cross country runners.
Yeah.
Right? Like I was a band geek, I ran cross country, I love theater. It was no surprise that like the kids who most gravitated toward me fit those categories.
Yeah.
Because so often kids are looking for somebody who gets them, who likes what they like, can do what they can do. So let's say somebody was like, I want to try that. What would you recommend?
For streaming?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say.
Like if someone wants to try and build an online type community.
Yeah.
What would you say?
So I only know from the video game experience, of course, and I would say it definitely takes time. Because when I first started out, I had a couple of kids here or there, but even then, with only a couple of kids, you still have really good relationships with them. So for me, it's like, go, do it. When you're playing video games with kids, they start to open up because a lot of times kids do not have adults in their lives that they like. A lot of times, I'm the first adult they've ever been friends with.
Yeah. Who's actually listened and who's not just a parent.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So I would recommend you start streaming. Literally, what's cool about Fortnite is when you're playing, you play with random people. So you just like hit fill, and it gives you a random person. A lot of the people from my streams are just random people I met from Fortnite, and I'm like, yo, here's my channel, dude, come check me out. And they'll be back and back and back.
Interesting.
So you can find them that way.
Yeah.
And then a lot of it spreads through word. So there's a group of kids. Like I'm friends with a bunch of kids from a school, I believe in either North Carolina or South Carolina. The one kid just comes to my stream one day, like first month I started streaming. Literally, we have a giant group text chat. Half the kids in that group text chat on Discord is kids from his school that he just told, and then they tell their friends, and then they tell their friends. Yeah. So there's like a bunch of them. So once you get it started, it starts rolling.
Yeah. And part of it too is that the more consistent you are, and the more often you are, the more likely you're going to get populated through people's YouTube feeds.
Yes.
Like, so a lot of it, I think, has to come from consistency. Like, you can't do this once a month.
Yeah, that's not gonna
It's not gonna work.
No.
So, with all this, with everything that's happened in like less than a year now, where do you see it going from here?
Yeah, I think the honest answer is I don't know. So I've had a few thoughts. One is, do I just take the concepts that I have right now and just put it more localized into what I do right now in like youth ministry? Do I take it and make it a broader thing where maybe it could grow into some like national youth organization that does video games? what I think that's really cool, what I've seen recently in my community is kids constantly ask me, hey, I'm struggling with this, but I really, really want to help other people struggling with this. So whenever I've felt like overwhelmed and I'm like, I can't talk with this many people, like, hey, you can go play with this person. He'd love to help you. Yeah. And I hear so many positive comments from someone I just led to like talking with this other
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's amazing how the community has been working with other people. And I have something called a Discord. I've mentioned this a few times already. It's about 200-300 members just on an app, and it's just a giant group text message. So if they're trying to find friends to play with, they can talk on there. But recently, a number of people have been really interested in mental health and wanting to help people that way. So I've shown them resources and things like that. And someone's like, I want to be a counselor now or a therapist. So I don't know whether this goes into therapy, youth ministry. There's so much I could do with this, and it makes me excited and scared. So I don't know.
So on the one hand, if you're a youth group volunteer or a youth pastor, one idea is to actually use this as a platform to grow connections with kids that you already have.
Yes.
So now, to be clear, if you hate video games, this is not the platform for you.
No.
Right?
No.
Like this is not something that you should take on as a hope of being like, well, maybe if I learn to play video games, the kids will like me. Like that's not
exactly
that's not helpful. But if you are someone who does play video games and who enjoys that platform already, this is another means by which you can connect, right? So in the same way that we like talk about the importance of going to kids' events and activities and like going to band concerts and musicals, this is very much the same idea.
Exactly.
Like kids do, and it means something when you show that when their participation in this, when you show that you value it by showing up, whether it's online through video gaming and playing with them, or whether it's going to the school musical, it's the same principle that applies. So one is for people to use this as another means to connect to kids they're already in a relationship with.
Yes,
for sure, because that's actually kind of how it started.
Yeah.
I think the second thing that you've kind of illustrated for people is that sometimes, and I guess maybe this is really important. This wasn't the goal.
No. Gosh, no.
Like this wasn't the goal. And like that's one of the things I find so often in leadership is that the greatest ideas didn't start out that way. Like the greatest ideas didn't start out as, oh hey, I'm going to grow a channel so I have 5,000 subscribers. Like you didn't think that.
No.
When you started, and like that's I think what's so interesting for people in leadership, in the church, outside the church, etc. The best thing you can do is to take an idea and start doing it and see what happens. And like you've already like, and as somebody who like started a business, like there's that point at which you go, crap, what did I do? Right? Like oh crap, like sometimes success isn't actually what we wanted. Because if this had gotten to the point where like you were interacting consistently with 20 kids from camp, you'd have been like, cool.
Yeah.
Right? Cool. Like so, but when you're successful, part of it is exactly the stage, and it is kind of why I wanted to talk to you today. You have no idea what to do now.
Yeah, I'm lost. Like
you have no idea,
lost.
right? Like because people may be like, well, how'd Jeremiah resolve it? He hasn't. Like that's the point. Like oftentimes when you're at this phase of a ministry project, you don't know what you're going to do because you're simply overwhelmed and the challenges and like how do you scale this, right? And so one of the things that I would say is that if you're one of the 5 people who have watched by now, if you're still watching, thank you.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. Right? like it's going to be our friends by this point and all this. But I think the biggest thing is like if something in this conversation, particularly because we talked about mental health, and I didn't mention that at the beginning that was going to come up, but that's a huge topic. We know facts matter, that kids going to the emergency room for anxiety and depression, suicidal thoughts has doubled in the last 10 years. Like that's not a disputed fact at this point. So like kids are not getting pregnant as much or drinking as much, but they're having a lot more anxiety and depression. But you have found a platform in which kids feel comfortable talking about that. So one of the things that if you look down in the comments, and you will find It's not in the comments, in the description.
Yeah.
Suck it, YouTube, man.
Description.
In the description, you'll find a link to Pinoy Pen's channel, and I would encourage you to just kind of go on and see what he's doing. It's kind of wild. And also, if you know Jeremiah, you're going to see a very different side of Jeremiah than you've ever seen before. And it's fantastic. I mean, it's totally different, but it's exactly what you said. Like it is about the personality, and that's I think one of the fun things is that when we're doing things that we love, a different side of us comes out. Like I've told people, like when I was in high school, I mean, I was quiet and I was nerdy, and no one's surprised about the nerdy part. Like nobody ever's been like, you were nerdy. It's like nothing's changed. But the like quiet, introverted self, people are like, you're not an introvert. I'm like, oh my gosh, you have no idea. Like you've seen me in front of 100 kids acting like an idiot. That doesn't mean I'm not an introvert. But I think part of what you've said that like when you find something you love and you find something that you're good at, a lot of the barriers you thought you had, you don't have anymore. You know, like you would never imagine that you'd have a platform with 3,500 subscribers, right? But you found something that you were good at and you loved, and you said, let's find a way to connect to kids. And that's what I think is so cool, is that rather than trying to force it, rather than trying to concoct something to be like, hey, I'll be hip and cool and get kids to watch me and then I'll talk to them about Jesus. Yeah. You followed a passion of yours and found a way to utilize it well. And that is fantastic. So if anything is popped up for you that you think is interesting, he's Pinoy Pens, and I'll have the link in the description right that time. And I have a feeling that we will be talking again.
Probably.
Because 6 months down the road, a year down the road, I think it'd be fascinating to kind of for people to find out kind of where this has gone. One thing I forgot to ask: have you noticed, like, have you plateaued at 3,500 subscribers, or are you seeing steady growth? Like where is it now? Yeah, so I think the weird thing how the YouTube algorithm works is when you start going, you'll get recommended on the homepage. So like I skyrocketed like the first really 1,000, fast, right? And then you I guess I've been growing steadily. Slow and steady. I think what's interesting though is my average viewer count stays about roughly the same each stream and total. So I think what it is from what I understand is the max number of friends you have is about 150. Okay. And I think it's the same way with streaming is I can only have so many relationships with so many people, and that's why they tune in. It's because of those relationships. Yeah. So yeah, it's about steady. Cool. So anything else our people should know? If they want to contact me, is that fun? You can hit me up on Instagram, Pinoy Pens. Hit me up on Instagram. Feel free to direct message me there. And I guess I could give a link to my email too, if that's an issue. So, all right. Thanks so much, Ryan. Yep, and thanks for tuning in.